This is the most useful guitar lick that I have ever learned in all my many years of playing guitar. Really? That's it? Just that? It's very simple, but I'll tell you, it's like a launching pad to hundreds of other great sounding licks, and it allows us to connect a chord shape with scale shapes that we know well so that we can use it in solos and we can use it in guitar rhythm playing and have those scales connect to the chords in really cool and interesting ways. So let's look at why this lick is so useful, and then we'll explain you how you can do it and how you can connect the chord shapes to the easy pentatonic shape and create all kinds of different cool lines. We're starting here in C major, and I'm just using this really basic C major bar chord. You know, sometimes if I'm really diligent, I'll use all the fingers to get that bar chord. Sometimes I just do that double bar system, I call it. Because we're only going to be here for a second in this case, so we're just going to hit the root, slam the chord, so I might not be so careful to use all the fingers on that chord. The root, that's C, hit the chord. Now, I'm going to hit the root again, take the note that's a whole step above, D, which is the 5th fret, and slide that up 2 frets. That takes me to an E note. So we put that together. That E note is now the major third of the C chord, because the C chord is C, E, G, or variations of that, right? So when I reach that E note, it still sounds very connected to the C chord because the E is part of the C chord, right? And then often what we'll do is we'll hit this next note here, which is a G. And guess what? The G note is also in a C chord, right? Because C chord is C, E, G. Easy. That's basically the lick. And why is it so important? Because it connects this chord shape with this scale shape. This scale shape is C major pentatonic. It comes from the 8th fret of your low E string there. And it's our easy shape. I always call this the easy shape because it's the shape that almost all of us learn first. You probably learned this shape first, but you probably learned it as A minor pentatonic, right? Remember that A minor pentatonic has the same notes as C major pentatonic. They are relative, major, and minor. But in this case, because we're playing in the key of C and we're slamming on that C chord, we want the sound of C major pentatonic. So it's coming from that 8th fret there, right? So once I hit this chord and do the lick, which is like a launch into this pentatonic shape, now I have all my easy favorite pentatonic licks that I can play in here. I have my favorite bend, right? That favorite bend that everyone does. In this case is on the 7th fret of the G string. So I can hit the chord, launch up, and now I've got my favorite lick there, right? Or whatever you like. You can play around in that pentatonic. You can add the blue notes in. right? Add some patterns, whatever. Now, it's very common to connect this little sequence to whatever is the next chord in the song, right? So we're going to pretend we're playing a song that goes C major, D minor, just for fun, right? It works out really great with this sequence because my C major, of course, we know is here. We already did that. I do my lick, and now my D minor, or D minor 7, is right there. It's in that space still anyway, right? So now I can hit my D minor 7 chord and still play around with my scale shape. Back to C. D minor. Blue note. C major. D minor. C major. So you can see how easy it becomes to connect chord shapes with scale shapes, especially because, I mean, we love this scale shape, right? Nice and easy. So now let's explore another really common way to use this lick to launch from one shape of C to another shape of C. So we're going to do the same launching lick, but instead of hitting just that G note there, I'm actually going to lay that first finger down and get 3 notes. I've got G, C, E here. And that G, C, E, right, it's just part of that C chord where we were, G, C, E, of that C chord. But now I have that G, C, E with my first finger because I've done my launch. Now we have a bigger, thicker sound for that moment. That sounds really cool, right? Try that out. Or if I want an even bigger sound, I can, in fact, keep that third finger on the E note, which is the 7th fret of the A string there, right? Now I have a 4-string C major chord, which would actually be called C/E. Why is it called C/E? Because it's still a C chord, but it has E as its lowest pitch, right? That all rings really nicely together, and of course, now I'm launched into my favorite pentatonic shape. And now that I'm in my favorite pentatonic shape, you'll notice that the pentatonic shape still includes that G, that C, and that E. So in fact, if I want to be a little Jimi Hendrix about it, I can kind of just leave that finger hanging out there and be kind of quite liberal with my pick and strike not just one string at a time, but strike kind of 2-ish strings at a time, so that I'm also including some of the GCE of that C chord there, right? We put that in context, my C chord in my launch. You can hear everybody kind of ring and jangle together. Whoops, not that one though. These kind of hammer-ons work really well for this kind of technique too, right? Go to your D minor. And back to your C. It's so easy to get back to the chord, and now we are able to connect the chords to the scales, and in fact we could be like almost a one-man band in a sense by doing both soloing and chords at the same time. There's D minor. Back to C, right? D minor. D minor. And now before we move up the fretboard, I'm going to tell you about my book. It's called Guitar Soloing Like a Pro, and it's available on Amazon. It has tons of tricks for how you can improve your soloing by choosing notes that are connected with the chords underneath. And I also have guitar strumming like a pro for all you acoustic guitar fans out there. Okay, now let's move up the fretboard. So we know this trick launches us into the easy pentatonic shape, right? And we're connecting it with a D minor chord. I mean, it might have been anything else, right? It might have been a different chord. It might have been the 4 chord. It might have been an F in this case, because as we all know, as all my students here in Vancouver know, F is the 4 chord of C, right? Because C, D, E, F. Now watch how these connect so easily. I can do the launch from C, little lick, whatever, and then jump up to the F chord, which is right there, the 8th fret. And it's the same shape as that C chord, right? So, as soon as I see that chord shape, I always know, I feel like, oh, fantastic. I can do the trick. I can do the launch right there. I can do it on the F chord. Right? So now we've connected the 1 chord with the 4 chord. So here's the 1 chord, C. F. Back to C maybe, right? Thirds. F. The trick works on the 4 chord because, again, just when we do the launch, it puts us in pentatonic shape. And in this case, it's the pentatonic shape of F major, so it's F major pentatonic. But whenever we have a major chord, we can use the major pentatonic scale of that chord. So look at how handy this is. What we've now done is we've managed to change scales mid-song without really having to think at all. We didn't barely have to think, because using this launching lick, it takes us directly into the easy shape for that chord, right? Let's take it one step further. What if I go to the 5 chord? I can do the same thing on the 5 chord, of course, right? So if my F is there, my 4 chord is there, my 5 chord is always 2 frets up. So here's G, same lick. We just launch into the G shape. Back to F and C. Couldn't help myself there. Now we have a really cool style where we're playing soloing lines and we're playing chords. You can do this just playing on your own. You can do this as the rhythm guitar player. If someone else, say someone's playing acoustic guitar, just strumming C, 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 you don't necessarily need to do that if you're the second guitar player, especially if you're on acoustic guitar. You want to maybe make some more interesting lines. Now, if someone's singing over top of that, you might not want to be too busy. You might not want to be it depends on the genre, right? But certainly, we can keep it simple. Remember that you have the inversion chord on top as well, right? So it's from C, that inversion chord. Just that alone, as a rhythm guitar player, makes a C chord or an F chord or a G chord so interesting. If I use that alone, let me play through C, F, and G, and we'll see it's far more interesting than just staying in place, right? So here's the C. That's also C, right? F. G. F. C. And notice that you can just go up and back down again, right? F. G. F. C. I got this lick originally, I got it from George Harrison. When I was a kid, I wanted to learn the solo to Let It Be. And it has pretty much this kind of run up. Not necessarily, he doesn't play a chord in it, right? But he has this little lick. And I don't know if I realized the full usage of it at the time, but boy, do I ever use it a lot. I never get tired of playing this thing, like ever. I use it anytime I'm on one of these chord shapes. As long as it looks like this, I can launch into that. It does not work on a minor chord, right? So if the song underneath is a minor chord, it doesn't work. Because if I play a C minor, when we do the launch, remember that the launch takes us up to an E note, which is the major third. So it doesn't quite work in minor. We could change it. That's kind of cool. But it doesn't take us into an easy pentatonic shape anyway, so it doesn't quite work, right? So remember to like and subscribe. Please share this video and tell your friends. We're getting really close to being monetized for this channel, and that was my goal, to at very least get monetized, and then we'll see what the algorithms do for us, and hopefully you guys are enjoying this material. If there's anything in particular you want, let me know. Maybe I can make a video about that. And if you're in the Vancouver area, give me a shout, because that's where I teach lessons here in this studio in East Vancouver in Canada. So you can check us out at www.bluemorris.com. And remember, don't forget that I've got these great books, Guitar Soloing Like a Pro and Guitar Soloing Like a Pro, other way around, and Guitar Strumming Like a Pro, both of which are available on Amazon. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time.